the solutions are out there. There is real solutions to these problems.
It's not true really, but it's quite fun watching people's reactions.
Something important just happened in the royal family, and now Buckingham Palace is very concerned. Prince William has surprised everyone by changing the titles of Duchess Sophie's children, Lady Louise and James. No one expected this, but why did he do it now? And what will it mean for their quiet lives and the future of the royal family? Join us as we reveal Prince William's stunning decision to reshape royal tradition by changing the titles of Duchess Sophie's children. A royal transformation. Everyone already knows that Prince William is next in line to become king. That's old news, but what's really catching people's attention is how he's not just sitting around, waiting for the crown to land on his head. Even though King Charles is still officially the monarch, William has quietly started taking steps to prepare for the future. Behind the scenes at the palace, he's been planning how things will work once it's his turn to lead. And part of that plan involves a bold move that could change the lives of two young royals, Lady Louise Windsor and James, the Earl of Wessex. Louise and James are the children of Prince Edward and Duchess Sophie. For years, they've lived calm and private lives, far away from the cameras and headlines. Most people barely even knew who they were. They went to school, like regular kids, spent time with their parents, and stayed out of trouble. They didn't make waves, didn't chase the spotlight, and certainly didn't cause any scandals. But now, without asking for it, they've been caught up in a much bigger shift within the royal family. That shift is coming from Prince William himself. He's already made it clear, without making any loud announcements, that when he becomes king, the royal family is going to look very different. He's not interested in keeping the old system where anyone with royal blood automatically gets a title and special privileges. Instead, William believes that being royal should mean serving the public and working hard, not just being born into it. That means changes are coming for Louise and James, even though they technically have the right to be called Her Royal Highness and His Royal Highness because their father is the king's brother. William doesn't see it that way. He wants to slim down the royal family. In his view, there should be fewer working royals, just a small, focused group of people who truly earn their roles by doing meaningful work. There hasn't been any official announcement yet, no press release or public statement, but people close to the palace say William's team is already preparing for this change. He's asked them to keep the list of active royals short, even after he becomes king. He's not making a big fuss about it. He's letting his quiet actions do the talking. But make no mistake, this quiet shift is already creating waves. For centuries, being part of the royal bloodline meant guaranteed status, even if someone wasn't very active in public life. That's just how it worked. But William is ready to break that tradition. He wants to end the idea that royals can have titles and perks without putting in the effort. And one big reason behind this new direction is the way the public sees the royal family today. Over the last few years, the royals have faced some rough times. From Prince Andrew's scandal to Harry and Meghan stepping away, to public questions about how royal money is being spent, it's clear that people want change. Prince William knows this. He understands that the world is watching, and he's trying to show that he's listening. That's why he's moving carefully, quietly, but with firm purpose. For Louise and James, this puts them in an awkward position. They've done everything right. They've behaved respectfully, avoided drama, and even stepped into the spotlight when needed. But now, through no fault of their own, they're being used to draw a new boundary. Prince William is sending a quiet but strong message about who belongs in the royal inner circle, and sadly, it looks like Louise and James might be left on the outside. Still, this story is far from over. The changes happening behind the palace gates are slowly shaping the future of the royal family. And even though William isn't king just yet, he's already steering the ship in a new direction. Of course, not everyone inside the royal household is happy about this. Some feel that William is moving too fast, especially when it comes to keeping younger royals like Louise and James at arm's length. Palace insiders say that some family members believe William is turning away people who could actually be helpful in the future. But William doesn't seem worried. He appears confident and focused on his goal, a smaller, stronger, and more relatable royal family. In William's vision, there won't be huge crowds of royals standing on palace balconies. He's not interested in handing out royal roles to distant cousins. Instead, he wants a tight-knit team, just a few royals, who are hardworking, visible, and connected to the people. Some see his choices as harsh, but others see them as smart. They believe he's trying to modernize the monarchy and make it more real. But at the same time, many can't help but feel sorry for Louise and James. Will they continue to be royals, in name only? Will they ever take on official duties? Or will they lead quiet lives, carrying royal blood but holding no public title? Let's explore. Deciding the course of their future. Right now, it's becoming more and more clear that Prince William wants Lady Louise Windsor and her brother James to live quiet, private lives. He's not pushing them into the spotlight unless there's a very good reason. There haven't been any big announcements or flashy changes, just slow, gentle steps happening behind the scenes. They haven't been given royal titles or put in the public eye. Instead, they're slowly being guided away from royal duties. And honestly, that says a lot about the kind of King William wants to be: thoughtful, modern, and more focused on giving family members the chance to live normal lives. To really understand why this matters, we have to go back to the beginning of Louise and James's lives. They were born into royalty, yes, but they weren't raised like most royals. Their parents, Prince Edward and Duchess Sophie, made a very important decision years ago. They wanted their children to grow up like ordinary kids, not royal celebrities. They didn't want them stuck in strict palace rules or chased by the media everywhere they went. So instead of being raised in grand palaces and constantly attending royal events, Louise and James grew up in a quiet home at Bagshot Park. Their childhood was filled with regular things like school, weekend hobbies, and horse riding lessons. There were no flashing cameras, no fancy red carpets, no royal pressure. They lived a life much closer to that of a typical British family than members of the monarchy. While some of their royal cousins were splashed across newspapers and TV screens before they could even talk, Louise and James were rarely seen. Most people didn't even recognize them when they were younger. And that wasn't by chance. It was part of a carefully made plan by their mother, Sophie. She had a clear idea of what she wanted for her kids. She didn't want them burdened by royal expectations. She wanted them to enjoy their childhood, away from the noise of fame and tradition. Not too long ago, Sophie gave an interview where she opened up a little more about how she and Edward raised their children. She explained that Louise and James can choose to use royal titles when they grow up, but they were raised to expect that they'll probably have to build careers and lives outside of royalty. That simple statement revealed something powerful. These children weren't being groomed to live royal lives. They were being taught to live real ones. So when people today wonder why Prince William is quietly keeping Louise and James out of the royal spotlight, the answer is already there. Their lives were never meant to revolve around royal duties. Their parents gave them a different kind of future, one that didn't depend on crowns or titles. And now, William seems to agree with that vision. He's not pushing them out. He's gently supporting the path they were already on. In today's world, being royal doesn't have to mean living under a spotlight. It can also mean choosing a peaceful, ordinary life. Take Lady Louise, for example. She's always stayed away from public attention. Yes, she has taken part in some very important royal moments, like when she walked behind Queen Elizabeth's coffin during the funeral. But for the most part, she keeps her life very private. In 2021, when she turned 18, she was given the choice to start using the title Her Royal Highness Princess Louise of Edinburgh. But instead of making a big deal out of it, Louise quietly chose not to use the title. There was no press release, no interviews, just a calm, private decision. Many people admired her for that. It showed that she had grown into a thoughtful, independent young woman. Louise was also very close to her grandmother, Queen Elizabeth. They both shared a love for horses and enjoyed carriage driving together. Despite that strong bond with the late Queen, when Louise was given a chance to step into royal life, she chose something else. She didn't chase fame or power. She chose peace, privacy, and the quiet life her parents had prepared for her. Now, with Louise's path more or less clear, People are beginning to wonder about her younger brother, James. He's still under 18, but that moment is coming. When he becomes an adult, he'll face the same choice Louise did. Will he take on a royal title and accept the responsibilities that come with it? Or will he follow his sister's example and continue living privately? Nobody knows yet. James has been even more private than Louise. He rarely speaks in public and is only seen during big family events or national ceremonies. But make no mistake, people inside the palace are already talking about his future. And now that Prince William is quietly reshaping the royal family, focusing it down to fewer working royals, James's decision will carry even more weight. If fewer royals are going to take on official roles, then the choice James makes will matter even more. While we've seen the direction Louise is taking and can guess the path James might follow, will there still be more to the story? Let's take a closer look at what they'd be giving up if they decide not to join the royal family. Forfeiting royal privileges. Saying no to a royal title isn't just about avoiding fame. It also means giving up the money that comes with being a royal. The royal family gets its money from a few main sources. If Louise or James decided to take on royal roles, they'd have to work for the royal family. That means attending public events, representing the royals at official gatherings, and becoming full-time working royals. In return, they'd get security, media attention, and a royal income. But they'd also lose a lot of personal freedom. So it's a big decision. From early on, Duchess Sophie and Prince Edward made it clear what they wanted for their children. They didn't want Louise and James to grow up thinking they'd get everything just because of their family name. They didn't want the royal life to be an easy backup plan. Instead, they wanted their kids to have the freedom to choose their own paths, without pressure or high expectations. Even if they don't use royal titles or appear on palace balconies, Louise and James will always be part of the royal family. That means their lives can never be completely private. But now that Prince William is starting to make big changes in how the royal family works, more attention is falling on Louise and James, especially James. People are watching to see if he'll follow his sister's quiet path or choose something different. What makes this situation unique is that most royal family members don't get to choose their future. Louise and James do. Normally, royal titles are passed down automatically, but for them, things have been different. They're part of a new kind of royal generation, one raised quietly, with the understanding that the world is changing, and the royal family must change too. Louise has already made her decision. Now, it's James's turn, and what he decides could show how younger royals really feel about their role today. At the same time, Prince William is trying to modernize the monarchy. He's not just thinking about today, he's planning ahead. His goal is to make the royal family smaller and focus on just himself, Catherine, and their 3 children. Louise and James, though not often in the spotlight, are becoming a quiet part of this big change. Whether they take on royal roles or stay out of the spotlight, their choices could shape the future of the family in ways no one expects. This change is calm and quiet, but powerful. But here's the emotional side. Louise and James weren't supposed to be under this pressure. For years, their mother Sophie worked hard to protect them from the stress of royal life. But now, things are changing quickly, and Sophie is facing a tough situation. The peaceful life she gave her children is being threatened by unexpected changes. Behind closed doors, there's been growing tension. The question of giving royal titles to Louise and James is becoming more sensitive, especially now that William is creating a tighter royal circle. Sophie never wanted this moment. She and Edward just wanted a simple life for their kids, away from the stress of being royal. That's why they chose not to use the titles prince or princess for them. It wasn't to disrespect the crown, but to protect their children's freedom. But now, William's new plans are clashing with that peaceful vision. Sophie, Edward, and their children are being quietly pushed to the side. The kids she worked so hard to protect are now being pulled back into the royal spotlight, even though they never asked for it. People close to the family say Sophie is beginning to push back in her calm way. She's reminding everyone of the promises made years ago. After all, this wasn't just her decision. The late Queen Elizabeth supported the idea of raising Louise and James without royal titles. It was a family decision meant to give the kids a chance at a normal life. Now, that promise is being tested. Sophie, who once stayed quietly in the background, is now quietly standing up for the life she built for her children. And as the royal family keeps evolving, what lies ahead? Let's find out. Royal family tensions. What happens with Louise and James could say a lot about where the royal family is headed, maybe more than people expect. Now that Prince William is working to reduce the size of the royal family, the old plans for Louise and James no longer seem certain. William hasn't told anyone directly what to do, but his actions, like not including them in important royal events, send a strong message. He's clearly focused on a smaller group of senior royals, and that has left their mother, Duchess Sophie, feeling uneasy. To Sophie, it feels like her children are being pushed aside, or worse, that they may be expected to take on royal duties later, but without the support and training they would have had if they'd been given royal titles from the start. It's a confusing and emotional situation. In public, Sophie keeps smiling and does her duties with grace. She's been present at major events like Queen Elizabeth's funeral and King Charles's coronation. But behind the scenes, people close to her say she's torn. She's trying to balance her love for her children with her loyalty to a royal family that's clearly changing. This isn't just about having a royal title, it's about what that title represents. Without it, people are expected to stay quiet, be thankful, and stay out of the spotlight. That's hard for Sophie, because no matter what changes, her children are still Queen Elizabeth's grandchildren. Sophie also understands the bigger picture. She knows William is under a lot of pressure. The royal family has faced one scandal after another, like Prince Andrew's controversies, Harry and Meghan stepping away, and public criticism over money and transparency. William wants to clean things up and focus on a smaller, more modern royal family. That may help the family's image, but for Sophie, it feels painful. She's not asking for fame. She doesn't want to turn her children into celebrities. She just wants fairness. If her children are not going to be part of the royal future, then they should be allowed to live peaceful, private lives without pressure. But if they are going to be involved, then they should be given the right support and respect. Right now, they're in a strange in-between place, neither fully included nor completely left out. And that weighs on Sophie every day. For Sophie, this is personal. She has always been loyal. She never wrote a tell-all book, never gave dramatic interviews, never sought fame. She stayed loyal to the Queen, worked quietly behind the scenes, and earned trust. But now, it feels like all that loyalty might be forgotten. She would never complain in public, but those close to her say she feels hurt. She never thought her children would be treated like they don't matter. It's especially emotional because her family is closely tied to the monarchy. Her husband, Prince Edward, was given the Duke of Edinburgh title, once held by Prince Philip. That should have raised their family's importance, but instead, it's caused more confusion. Now, Sophie is stuck in the middle. She wants to protect her children's privacy, but also wants them to be respected as part of the royal family. Meanwhile, William wants a smaller royal household, but without breaking trust in the family. At some point, something will have to change. As for James, will he choose to accept a royal title, take on public duties, and shape a new path for the family? Or will he follow Louise's example and choose a quiet, private life? Let's take a closer look. Crossroads of royalty. Lady Louise and James, Earl of Wessex, were never meant to grow up in the royal spotlight. From the start, their lives were supposed to be quiet, simple, and away from the cameras. But now, things are changing fast. Prince William is reshaping the royal family and deciding who will stay close in his smaller, more focused monarchy. Louise and James are at an important crossroads. Being royal today isn't just about fancy crowns or big ceremonies. It's about making real choices. For these two young royals, deciding between living a normal private life or taking on public duties is much harder than it looks. When Louise was born, she had a serious eye problem called esotropia, which made her eyes point in different directions. This made it hard for her to appear in public as a child. She had to have surgeries to fix it, and her parents, especially her mother Sophie, kept this private to protect her from the usual royal pressure. Sophie wanted Louise to grow up peacefully and away from the attention and noise that often come with being royal. As Louise grew older, she slowly gained confidence through something special: horse riding. She loved carriage driving, just like her grandfather, Prince Philip. This wasn't just a hobby. It helped her feel close to him, someone she admired a lot. At events like the Royal Windsor Horse Show, people started to notice Louise, not for how she looked, but for her skill, calmness, and the way she reminded them of her grandfather. She showed she had her own natural charm. Louise has also appeared at important royal events, not as a loud guest, but as a quiet, graceful presence. She walked behind Queen Elizabeth's coffin during the funeral and stood strong during family moments while the world watched. She never tried to seek the spotlight, but showed respect, pride, and love for her family. She proved that even without a big title or constant attention, she can carry herself with dignity. Now, the world is watching Louise and James more closely. As the royal family changes, the pressure grows. James, at just 16 years old, is already showing signs he might take on more royal duties than Louise. He's been at big family events more often, quietly stepping into the public eye. Whether at the Commonwealth Games, Easter services, or the Queen's Platinum Jubilee, James has stood beside his parents, slowly getting used to royal life. Some fans think he might become a full-time working royal. Behind the scenes, his father, Prince Edward, now Duke of Edinburgh, seems to be preparing James for this path. The title comes with tradition and responsibility, so it makes sense James might be encouraged to think about a serious future role. What do you think about Prince William's shocking decision? Let us know your opinion in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.